Hey guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing some spooky book recommendations, and not necessarily all of these are like super creepy, but some of them have like the darker setting or the darker tone to it, perfect for the month of October and the fall time in general, or just in general. But yeah, so I have a lot of books to get through, so let's jump right into it. First, I have two books by the same author that I just want to get through, and just so you know, they're pretty damn good. First up, I have Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This is about a girl who basically like finds a door into like an alternate world, but it's like her world, but her parents have button eyes. It's just like a little bit altered, a little bit different. It's about her. She's a really brave kid. It's a really creepy-ish kind of story, especially for being middle grade. It's kind of creepy. Along with that, I have my personal favorite by Neil Gaiman so far, and that is The Graveyard Book. This is about a boy who is basically raised by ghosts, and it's so good because his family was brutally murdered, so he's raised by ghosts, and he doesn't leave the graveyard, because if he does, then the person who killed his parents are gonna go after him. It's a good book. You should read it. And getting more into like kind of the darker mood, the darker setting type of thing, I have The Virgin Suicides, because I'll continue to recommend this, by Jeffrey Eugenides. This book is about the 5 lesbian daughters who all commit suicide, and it's about these boys that live across the street that kind of tell the story of what happened to these girls and how they lived their lives and just their tragic story in general. The writing's beautiful. So I have Death Note by names I won't be able to say, sorry. This is actually the 6th in the black editions. Death Note is about this boy named Light Yagami who finds a book, and you know, if you write a name in it and you think about what they look like, so then you don't kill someone with the same name, they die, that kind of thing. And he gets a little out of hand with this. At first he starts to kill off criminals, so he's like, oh, it's okay, and then he gets a little out of hand. But this is the 6th in the black editions. There's a total of 12 volumes, but the black editions have 2 in each, which is what I would recommend buying. Plus, they're not a lot nicer. But Death Note's one of my favorite series ever, especially in terms of manga. It's just like my favorite. So definitely check this out if you haven't already. And I realized I haven't talked about Death Note in a really long time, but last year was like my 6th favorite thing I've read last year, which was really good. So. This book didn't particularly scare me, but there's definitely scary elements to it, and that is The Shining by Stephen King. This is like my favorite book ever, so please read it if you haven't. And it's about this dude named Jack. He has a family. He has Wendy, his wife, and his son Danny, and he takes a job at the Overlook Hotel to like stay in it over the winter to like keep watch of the boiler so then it doesn't like freeze, and so the hotel remains stable, you know. And he stays with his family there, his wife and his son, and a lot of creepy stuff goes on. So it's like my favorite thing ever. I'd highly recommend it. It brings me so much joy, even though it's so creepy but kind of brutal, but it's a good book. I have This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This one because it does have monsters in it, and it does have that darker tone and setting to it, so I'd recommend it for those reasons. But this book is about two people, August and Kate, and one of them's a monster and one of them's a human, and they form a likely friendship, and they kind of battle together, like beat some monsters down. You know, it's a great story. I really enjoyed it. I read it this year. I love the writing. The story is like slower paced, but it's like so pretty. So yes, if you didn't think I would recommend this, you haven't been here. Mr. Mercedes, my pride and joy. This book is about the Mercedes killer who runs over a line of people, just hits a bunch of people with his car, and then he was never caught, and then he pushes this detective to come out of retirement, and he's like, haha, you never caught me. So Bill Hodges comes out of retirement to stop the Mercedes killer. It's like the best story ever, and this is one of like my favorite trilogies ever. It's so good. Like, yeah, so if you're looking for like a psychological thriller, because you do get the point of view from the killer as well, so it kind of adds that element to it. But if you're looking for kind of a thriller or something that's kind of creepy, I'd recommend this. It is adult though, warning, because there's a lot of like sexual content and like other things, and like you're really in the killer's mind, because like, you know, I'd recommend this. Again, you know me, Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, my like favorite book by her ever. It's such a good thriller. It's about this girl named Libby Day who her family was killed when she was younger, except for her brother. Her dad doesn't live with them, so her mother and her 2 sisters were killed, and she escaped, and then she blamed it on her brother because she swore it was him. And then it's about her like 30, when she's like 30, and her being forced to like rethink the whole case, and like maybe it wasn't her brother kind of thing. So yeah, that's what this is about. It's like my favorite thing ever. There's a movie too, so watch the movie too because it's a great movie. Last but not least, I have something that's kind of like really general to recommend, but it's The Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. And I haven't read all of these, but the other day I read 3 of them in a night because they're not long, but they're really good. Some of them are really brutal though, so if you can't handle like descriptions of certain, I don't know, like slicing someone, don't read it. But I ended up reading 3 things that blew my mind, and that was The Raven, which is only a poem, so it's like okay, but like it's only a poem, which like I highlighted everything. It was so good. I'll talk about them in my wrap up. I'd also recommend The Telltale Heart. This is my second time reading it because I have read it before. We actually did a school project on it once and we had to make a movie trailer for it, and I still have that trailer. It's kind of funny. But so I have The Telltale Heart that I would recommend, and then I'd also recommend The Black Cat. But if you cannot read about animal cruelty, do not read that story because I didn't know it involved that much animal cruelty. And I like animals like more than people sometimes, so I was like, oh my god. Yeah. So those are all my recommendations. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below and some books you would recommend and some spooky books that you're planning on reading this month and just some things you'd suggest as well. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all very soon.